Hey, it's Central Valley Real Estate and Home Improvement, and we're going to talk about home improvement in this segment because I got a guy for you. You know, have you noticed there's a lot of sun in this area? Have you ever thought about maybe putting the sun to use in your own house? I've got Paul Ahern with Sol-Tek, right, Paul?
Sol-Tek Solar.
Sol-Tek.
That's correct.
Sol-Tek Solar.
Yep.
So, okay, solar. You know, actually, a lot of people have talked about solar here in this area for a while. What is it about solar? Why do I want to go to solar? And what is it about going to solar now that may be a little more important than, say, kicking it down the road a couple of years?
So it's September, and it's been pretty hot.
I've noticed that.
A little bit, 104, 108 degrees throughout the summertime. And so, of course, we've seen people with high electric bills.
Right.
And there's a lot of shopping that people can do to find solar, and I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there. A lot of companies have come here from out of town because it is a hot market for solar. In fact, it's the #1 market in the United States.
I was going to say, I heard that we're right up there near the top, if not at the top.
We're pretty close between us and San Diego.
You're right. We have had a lot of people come into this area from out of town. And on one hand, you might say, well, that's great because competition is always good. But on the other hand, at some point, if they're from out of town, they're liable to be out of town when I need them.
For sure.
You know, a few years down the line or even further. So having a local business that's been here might be something, you know, that we want to consider right at the beginning.
Good point, Steve. That's what I'm counting on. I've made an 11-year career so far out of the solar industry. Mm-hmm. I'm a former Marine, and I've bounced around in a couple different industries, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and solar now. My wife and I, picked our home 11 years ago, and we decided to go solar because we knew we couldn't afford 2 mortgages, essentially, with a second electric bill as they are these days. And so it was a good choice for us. And I've been fortunate enough to make that my career. Mm-hmm. And I can feel pretty confident about the career going forward because of the regulatory climate that we're in this state. Is definitely pointing in the direction of...
It's rather unique in California,
quite
for
unique.
sure.
Quite unique.
You know, and it's just... There's no sign that it's going to lighten up, so to speak. You know, there's just a lot of stuff, which means every year that the various power supplying companies are going to have to bump their fees for, if no other reason than just to satisfy what the state's going to want from them.
Right.
So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to go solar, and particularly in this area because we do. We have a lot of sunshine throughout almost all the year, you know, so, and prices, like you say, they're not going down on energy costs. But all right, so we've got solar companies from out of state that have come here, but Sol-Tek's been here. I mean, we're local people, right? But why do I want to go with Sol-Tek? Or maybe these other companies are going to, give me a fast talk deal. Why do I want to go with Sol-Tek? What do you offer?
Well, we offer a lot more than just solar electricity, for one.
Okay.
So where did Sol-Tek come from? Sol-Tek's been in business for 10 years as its own entity. Mm-hmm. It is a sister company, and I won't spend too much time on it, but a sister company of a big electrical contractor that's been based in the Central Valley for 20 years. Okay. Right downtown Clovis, off Jefferson Avenue and Clovis Avenue. So Sol-Tek came out of a purchase of another company.
All right.
And that company was Solar Heart All Valley. Mm-hmm. It was in business since the mid-'80s. Okay. And what those guys did is they were putting solar hot water tanks and collectors on roofs because there was a rebate program for natural gas in the rural areas around Fresno and different Central Valley areas. Well, we still service those things, and that's one thing that separates us from other companies as well. We actually have a full-time service department.
Really?
Imagine that.
Not just installation and done, huh?
We're not just a marketing company.
Oh, okay.
So we actually do get on roofs ourselves, and we go through the whole thing. And the other part of it is, and why September has a little different flavor for solar is because, yes, it's been hot all this time, and I don't know if you jump in your swimming pool this time of year, but it's pretty soon.
I got in the water the other day, and it's a little bit colder now than it was a while back.
There you go.
And it's going to take some money to heat that sucker up, isn't it?
Well, it can. So if you go to natural gas and you go with a heat pump,
right?
You know, a lot of times natural gas actually isn't the way it goes. Usually it's electricity. And
Yeah.
the last thing you need to do is use more electricity in your home.
I've heard that rumor.
You already know what that costs you. So let's not go that route.
Yeah.
So we do have solar collectors, solar panels that are different from the solar electricity, but definitely extends your swim season and can raise the temperature to a comfortable level for about, 4 to 6 months more a year.
Really?
And let your kids and yourself enjoy that pool that the $50,000 hole in the ground that we all have, right?
So you get an extra 4, possibly 6 months, huh?
You definitely do.
Wow.
And what's interesting and what got me excited about that, we got to differentiate ourselves some way, shape, or form. And if you're in this industry, you definitely want to be, just like the real estate people.
Right. Something makes you stand out from all the rest.
Yeah, and part of that is we are able to have always been doing this long before solar electricity became popular, is doing solar hot water and solar pool heating systems one item of that.
So let me run this real quick. We got installation, we've got service, and we got solar hot water. And although the company as it exists has only been around 11 years, it actually goes back into the 80s. The history of the company.
Yeah.
And it's all local.
And I'm glad you bring that up because that's all true, like you just said. Some of the guys on our staff, in fact, one of them, our director of operations, a young guy named Jake Brown, he's third generation. And so his family kind of got the solar market going here back in the 80s. They bought a franchise out of Australia. Australia's been doing solar a long time.
Yeah, they have.
So
A lot of sun down there.
Definitely. And so we do have some very skilled people that know what they're doing. And when you're in the sales and marketing side like I am, it's just very comforting to know I've got guys that got my back out there.
And let me ask you this, Paul, because I don't think a lot of people realize, they think, okay, we put the panels up and we're done, right? We put the panels up and we're done. But that's not really the way it works, is it, with solar?
No.
I mean, there's, besides the fact that maybe they get dirty and then they lose their output capability, but there's other things that have you ever noticed that the sun kind of tends to really tear things up if nothing else does? It's got to have an effect on the systems too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Over time it will have an effect.
Yeah.
With that said, when the system's installed correctly to begin with, and if you've chosen a local company that you can call and they're right down the street,
Yeah.
when there are issues that can happen, doesn't happen for everybody and all the time. But when there are issues, you definitely want somebody to reach out to pretty quick. That's going to be able to not only be able to see what's going on in your system.
Yeah.
So we do have an active monitoring department, and they are tracking kind of what's going on in the systems. When there's significant issues, sometimes we're calling the customer before they call us.
Really?
So, but yes, if you can wash your panel, especially this year, we had a lot of forest fires.
Yeah, a lot of stuff in the air.
You drive by my house right now, you can't even tell I have solar because there's so much dust on the roof, It's all the same color. So if you can wash them off a couple times a year, it's not a bad idea. And more frequently when it's very, other than that, if it's installed correctly, there really shouldn't be that much issue with it.
Okay. Something else that I think you mentioned before we went on the air, there's still a percentage of discount that's available for people that install. Is this the last year on that?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah. So this is that time of year when we start getting calls from people saying, "Hey, how fast can you get this thing installed?" Because I'd really like to get my tax credit. So the rule on that has changed. It used to be we had to have the PG&E interconnection in order for you to get your tax credit for the year you got it installed in. So if we get to December, you've got the permit from the county or city, but you don't have the interconnection to PG&E. Well, you can't file for your taxes.
Right.
So people will have us hurry up and get things installed.
Right.
Well, the nice thing is now you actually don't have to go through that process. You can get it installed, get a permit for the install, and if your interconnection goes past January 1st, that's not a problem. The IRS now is giving that lenience. Now, with that said, the 30% tax credit's good for one more year.
One more and that's it, huh?
Well, one more, then it drops down 3% to 26%. And there's a chart actually on the screen there. We've got, I think, the 2022 or so, and then it drops at 10% for commercial businesses, but down to 0 for residential. And so it is a good time.
Okay.
To go ahead and take advantage of some of the lowest prices you're going to see, especially in the fall. The fall is where things people are not thinking as much about solar.
Yeah, it's comfortable, and I'm not doing the air conditioning, my PG&E or whatever bill has gone down, and we'll just put it on the back burner, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're installers. We know that, and we like to keep our crews going throughout the winter time and the fall. So we do offer better incentives sometimes when we can. And so to keep business going, we'll offer great incentives. Like right now, we're doing $1,000 towards your electric bill if you go solar with us and get the panels installed before the end of the year.
Sounds like a good reason to get a hold of Sol-Tek.
Definitely, why not?
Yeah. Well, how do I get a hold of? I have all the good reason in the world. If I can't find you, how's it gonna? How do I get a hold of you?
Yeah. Well, we're getting up to the times, right? So
Yeah.
we've been around a long time, but on the marketing side, we've kind of done a little better job. But with that said, we do have a brand new website, and actually, I've got a little gift for your people who are watching us right now.
Okay.
And it's going to help us. So and what that is, if you go to our website, solteksolar.com, that's SoltekSolar.com. If you'll scroll down on the first page, you'll find a pelican.
Uh-huh.
I know, it's weird, right?
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
If you click underneath the pelican, you're going to have a link to a coupon to download. And I'm not going to go into what that is. If the folks find that on their own, they'll have a little treat to share with their family or themselves. And we're getting it there because we're learning that Google likes it when people go to your website.
There you go.
And if they spend a little bit of time there, it's even better.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get people going that way.
Well, Paul, sounds like you, 1, got a great company, 2, provide a great service, and 3, the product sounds just awesome. And this is the place to be doing it or getting it.
Absolutely.
So, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, sir.
Sol-Tek Solar, you got some incentives. It's getting down to the end of the year. If you're thinking about it, this may be the time to actually do it. Get a hold of Sol-Tek Solar, and I'll see you when we come back.